All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baharuch HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect pushing this gospel amongst the four winds with truth and sincerity. To you I say shalom. All right, it's your brother Parathon. Quick lesson, man. I want to jump into 2 Maccabees 6. Right, this is the account of Eleazar with unwavering faith, right? I'm just going to jump right into it. Lord willing, this lesson's edifying, if anything, uplifting, right? So we're going to start from the top. This is 2 Maccabees 6 and 1 in the Good News Translation. It says, not long after that, the king sent an elderly Athenian to force the Jews to abandon their religion and the customs of their ancestors. And what was that religion? What were these customs? They were the laws, statutes, and commandments. Right, he showed his statutes unto Jacob and his laws unto Israel. Roughly paraphrasing Psalms 147. Right, the law, statutes, and commandments. Right, that was our custom. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Seminole, West Indians, and Haitians of that legendary bloodline, God's chosen people that the Bible speaks of, man. So the Greeks forced our forefathers to abandon their religion, to abandon the law, right? Verse 2, he was also to defile their temple by dedicating it to the Olympian god Zeus. The temple on Mount Gerizim was to be officially named the Temple of Zeus, the god of hospitality, as the people who lived there had requested. Now, the people who lived there were Greeks, and there were the Hellenized Jews, right? The Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners. Which we know there are two different definitions of Gentiles. The Gentiles, which are the actual Gentiles, the other nations, right? And the Gentiles, also known as the Israelite foreigners, the Hellenized Jews, okay? The Israelites that grew up in the customs that look like these other nations, that sound like, that speak these other nations, right? Even the black sororities and fraternities still worship Jupiter to this day. So let me see. Also, this was right before the Greeks. This was around the time where the Greeks, took over the Ethiopians. They called them Ethiop which means burnt faces. Right, it's verse 3. The oppression was harsh and almost intolerable. Gentiles filled the temple with drinking parties and all sorts of immorality. They even had intercourse with prostitutes there. Forbidden objects were brought into the temple, and the altar was covered with detestable sacrifices prohibited by our law. Right, so they was just straight committing the worst sins, the worst shit you could do, man. So the worshiping of Zeus and these different sacrifices and these different these acts, because these what do they call them? These orgies were acts, there were sacrifices to these gods, man. Verse 5, and the altar was kind. Verse 6, and it was impossible to observe the Sabbath, to celebrate any of the traditional festivals, or even so much as to admit being a Jew. See, it's crazy. That's crazy work. Each month when the king's birthday was celebrated, the Jews were compelled to, by brute force, to eat the intestines of sacrificial animals. Salakia. Then during the festival in honor of the wine god Dionysus, there's another one, right? They were required to wear ivy wreaths on their heads and march in procession. On the advice of Ptolemy, the neighboring Greek cities were also instructed to require Jews to eat the sacrifices. They were told to put to death every Jew who refused to adopt the Greek way of life, right? It was easy to see that hard times were ahead. So it's going into how, hey, it was either get down or lay down, man. And of course, we had most of our people who, got down, who converted who adopted the ways of the Greeks, if you will. Right, verse 10, for example, 2 women were arrested for having their babies circumcised, for keeping the law. They were paraded around the city with their babies hung from their breasts, and they were thrown down from the city wall. Right? On another occasion, Philip was told that some Jews had gathered in a nearby cave to observe the Sabbath in secret. Philip attacked and burnt them alive, and they had such respect, Salakia, for the Sabbath that they would not fight to defend themselves. Right? They loved not their lives to death, man. They didn't fear what man, right? It's Matthew 10 and 28, right? Let's grab that. We'll get them both real quick. Let's jump right back into it. It's Revelations 12 and 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they loved not their lives unto death. And that's what these brothers did. These prophets did. They loved not their lives unto death. They didn't resist when they came to beat them, right? For breaking their laws and obeying the Father. So, these were examples, and they pulled these probably out of many examples that happened, even with the babies, the ladies who kept the Sabbath, right? As we read up, 2 women were arrested for having their baby. Oh, Salaki, I stand corrected. Two mothers circumcised their babies, their sons, and they were put to death, were humiliated before put to death, thrown over a wall, right? So they love not their lives unto death. Fear not the man. Let's grab that real quick. I think that's Matthew 10. 27, 28. Matthew 10 and 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both body and soul in hell. Right? So it's simple. Those mothers, right? Those prophets, they didn't fear those who can kill the body, man. Right? They held it down until the end. And let me see. Before we even get into Eleazar, that account, it was just showing many different accounts like Eleazar is we're about to get into. Right? He stood firm. He rather obey God than men. Let me grab that. Salakia. Said X. 4. Salakia, that's not X4. Acts 5 and 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God, obey Yahweh rather than men. And as we go down to verse 39, if it be of Yahweh, ye cannot. Salakia, verse 40. And to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahweh Shai and let them go. And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and every house they ceased not to preach, to teach and preach Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. Just another account of the apostles, loving not their lives unto death, right? Being, counted it joy when we fall into diverse temptations. Right, crying and shouting for joy that they were worthy to be beaten for the name of Yahweh Shai. Right, it's lucky if I'm bouncing around, but like I said, these are just different accounts we can tie together. Right, and we can just even hit the point. We can hit the point a little further. Psalms 96 and 5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh made the heavens. It's that simple. The gods of the nations are idols, man. Zeus, Dionysus, Astaroth, the fish god, Dagon. These are the gods of the nations, And our Lord, our power, the true one power, the one true power created these nations, these gods for these other nations, because they're not worthy to worship him. Even 2/3 of our people aren't worthy of the name. This is John, Psalms 115, little quick punch real quick. Psalms 115 and I believe was 3. But our power is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their own throat, or through their throat. Salakia. They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. Right? So they trust in these idols. People are worshipped as idols themselves. And they glorify in it. Let's go to the New Testament. It says 1 Corinthians 8:4. But as concerning, therefore, the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other power but one. Yahweh. Why Yahweh Shai, man? Yahweh. Right? He is. Right? The existing one. No beginning, no end. Let me get Jeremiah back in the Old Testament. It's Jeremiah 10:11. It says, they shall say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. It's that simple. Esau is a self-renowned God. He's worshipped as God here. Hey, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. This is his kingdom. But as it says, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth. And that's beautiful, because I close out with let me jump in the Bell and the Dragon real quick. This account of Daniel, 42 verses. This is the Bell and the Dragon 1. And 24. And the king said unto Daniel, right to the point, wilt thou also say that this is of brass? Though he liveth, he eateth and drinketh. Thou canst not say that he is no living God. Therefore worship him. Then said Daniel unto the king, I will worship the Lord of my power, for he is the living power. But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I will give thee leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair, and did seethe them together, and made lumps thereof, and he put it in the dragon's mouth, and so the dragon burst in asunder. And Daniel said, lo, these are the gods ye worship. When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king, saying, the king is become a Jew, and he hath destroyed Bel, and he hath slain the dragon, and put the priests to death. So they came to the king and said, deliver us, Daniel, or else we will destroy thee and thine house. All right, so boom. Daniel put a show on for the Lord. The Lord had the spirit on Daniel, where he just got on this little camera. He just threw a few things together. Some hair, some pitch. What did it say? Some hair, some pitch. And some fat. And made up some type of bomb. And blew up their so-called God. All right. Hey, so with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baha Rachak Wadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.